All right, and we're live. I am the producer Denzel Snipes, and welcome to another episode of Cubfidential. As you can see in the subtitles, only way to go is up. Well, you know what? Winning the last two series would help, and splitting. I think they're split with the Reds, but winning the last two series most definitely helps. We got a great loaded show for you guys. A pretty interesting cover dud because I think this is the crucial point of the season, but. Without further ado, let's bring in the host, JB Ellis.
Denzel. I mean, good thing we're on the north side of Chicago. If we were on the south side, be pretty ugly. So I heard a rumor that, the White Sox won a game last night. They were in Oakland. It was pretty scary. But let's talk about positive things. Let's talk about the Cubs. Got Botkins coming in a minute. They're playing some decent baseball. Not thrilled with them getting rid of Morel, but I like the move overall. I'll talk to Botkins about that in a few minutes. But let's start with the Cardinal series and bring Botkins in and let's talk some Cubs baseball.
Woo, man! I don't want to say we're back, but we're nibbling. You know what I mean? JB, I don't know if I want to buy yet or if I'm still selling. Obviously, I've been selling for the last month, but just when I'm about to all the way out, by God, when you take 3 out of 4 from the Cardinals, especially the Cardinals, it always makes it feel good. You know.
Listen, I mean, the Cardinals are the team that we hate. It doesn't matter. It's like the White Sox. We could have won 5 games in the last 23, and we'd still be better than the White Sox, and we'd be happy.
Yeah, so, yeah. Obviously, I live down here in the heart of Cardinal country, so to me, the bigger rival is the Cardinals. So, because I can rub it into my friends' faces that hey, we stinking, we just beat y'all. So there's that.
Exactly. Well, it's about time we got some back from them. I mean, when we went down there, when I was there Memorial Day weekend, it was awful. So tell us what you saw in this 4-game set.
Man, so really, yeah, just, we're hitting. You mentioned the trade, right? That Perales kid is come in. He's hit well. You win the first game Thursday night 5-4. You win the next game, 6-3. You lose on Saturday, but you still scored 4 runs. So then you win on Sunday 6-2. So that's we finally get some live bats. Like our offense has been awful up until this nice little stretch here. Bullpen's finally got it together. It seems like now, while it can be shaky and you got to watch it, with through your hands, through your fingers, you got to watch the bullpen like this. Still, it's been improved, but most importantly, I thought the offense is alive, and I think the Perales kid, I believe that's how you say his name. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think he has something to say that PCA is finally figuring this thing out. He's had a good stretch here the last week or so. My guy, Michael Bush, huge game today, and he's come alive as well. So, I think hitting has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. I mean, the bullpen hasn't been awful. They've been serviceable and they're hitting. I mean, it's impressive to see. They went and took 3 out of 4.
We got a little lucky right in the comeback game in the first game, but sometimes you got to have a little luck. How many times the ball has bounced the other way against us this year instead of for us? So you got to have just a little luck.
Yeah, it happens. You're going to have some games that are fluky. I mean, look at the NLCS a couple of years back when the Dodgers lost to the Nationals. That's about as fluky as it gets when you got a grand slam by a non-power hitter. It was just so flukes happen at any time. You just got to play the best you can. And the Cubs are starting to put it together. I mean, the Cardinals were in second place at the time. If I'm correct, they're still in second place of the division. And there's 4 games separating us now and then, us and them. So before we go forward, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically, you have to overcome 5 teams to make the wild card. 5.5 games back. End of the
wild card. I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk wild card, JB, till we're 500. Let's get to 500 first.
You're going to talk about it tonight. It's an important thing because I want to do the math. 5 teams that you have to surpass in order to get one of the spots. I don't want to talk about records or anything, but is it possible to play? Got to play about 4 games better than 5 teams over the course of the rest of the season. Is that something that you think is possible? Wow. See, Bakkins really don't want to talk about wild card. He totally
I think he froze.
He left. He said, wild card, I'm out.
He
went to the division.
He froze. Hang on, let me see if I can buzz him real quick.
So while you texted him, oh, here he is. Look at this.
Sorry. I told you. I asked Denzel before we started whether my internet. I told you my internet was shaky. I felt like.
No worries. I understand. But it's not even so much the Cubs, just anyone in that position. I want to talk about it seriously to set expectations, because you're not talking about 2 teams. There's 5 teams you have to overcome to get one of those positions.
Well, I'm not talking wild card until we're 500. That's the thing.
Forget about talking about Cubs wild card. The Reds have the same record as us, so they're in the same spot. Can they overcome 5 other teams and play better baseball and make the wild card? Because it can any team. That's 5.
Yeah, I mean, how many? I haven't looked at the standings. How close? How many games back are you?
5.5. It's the first week in August, and you got to overcome 5 different teams. It's not an easy spot they put themselves in.
No, they got to go on a nice run here. The good thing for I'm going to speak from the Cubs aspect. You have the easiest schedule in baseball remaining.
Right. I mean, that definitely helps. And when you look at who's in front of them, I mean, Arizona can't beat them for whatever reason. San Diego, they're actually came on really well. Atlanta's a really good team. I mean, just the Phillies are playing better baseball. The Mets, I still say, are a joke. The Cardinals, I mean, are we going to get the Cardinals that we beat this week or the Cardinals that beat up on us? The Pirates, I'm not worried about. The Giants, not worried about. So, maybe they're out of that group. There's maybe three or 4 teams you really got to worry about. It'll be interesting to see, because I think they're going to make it interesting. I don't know if they're in a spot to get there, but at least it's interesting. We'll have something to look forward to in September, I think, at least for most of the month.
So are they 5.5 back of Atlanta, or are they 5.5 back of Arizona?
5.5 back of Atlanta, the last spot, 7 away from Arizona, which a game and a half more isn't that much at this point.
Yeah.
To me, it's just all the different teams that are there.
Atlanta would be the toughest one to catch. I think St. Louis, Pittsburgh, and San Francisco, you might be able to jump over. We're done playing the Cardinals, so that's tough, though.
Well, logically, the National League West, Arizona and San Diego are going to have to play each other, I'm sure, a bunch of times more, and the Giants. So those 3 teams are going to beat each other up, and then you got the Dodgers in the same division. So hopefully that'll knock out some of those teams. The Mets, I don't know. I still say they're a joke. I say Atlanta's it. Then you got Pittsburgh. I don't see that continuing. And then St. Louis and us. So, like I said, it's going to be interesting. I don't know if they can do it, but it'll be fun to watch. Let's go to the Minnesota series. Cubs take 2 out of 3 against a really good Minnesota team. They're never going to win a World Series because, you have the Yankees, you have the Dodgers, and Minnesota just clams up when it comes to playoff baseball. I don't know what it is. How many in a row do they lose to the Yankees in the playoffs? Like 12 or 13 or 102 or something. It's like when you see that, when you're the Yankees and you see you got Minnesota in the playoffs, it's like, oh, okay, we can just move on. Why bother playing? You feel horrible for the Twins because they're always damn likable guys, but just can't get it done. So it's good to see the Cubs actually play well against a good team. What'd you see in this series?
Again, we're back to hitting, right? Game 1, you're like, oh, crap, we wasted all the good offense on the Cardinals series. We don't score a single run. Last night, you get the 7-3. Of course, Shota pitches well. You win 7-3. Today, Javier Assad, man, 75 pitches in 4 innings. It's starting to get a little worrisome for him. I had high hopes for him going into the season. Hasn't quite met those expectations, but then becomes kind of a bullpen game. Cubs, though, 8-2. Michael Busch, huge game today. Ian Happ strokes a home run as well. So the lineup is producing more here as of late. and you mentioned off the top, I think trading, we had to get rid of Morale, but I like the swap, the trade for us, because Morale, he's going to hit a lot of home runs. We mentioned he's a lot of Javi Baez. He's going to hit a lot of home runs, but his batting average is about 200. He's not can't keep the line going, and that's what we need. We need consistency in the lineup where we don't need guys just hitting home runs all the time. We need the lineup to keep moving, especially with those guys in scoring position.
Yeah, I think the Paredes trade, I like Paredes. He's an all-star, really good player. Not as exciting as Morel, but he gives you what you need, which sometimes you make a trade, you give up the more exciting piece, but you get what you need. Everybody, I would say 99% of the people here that are watching play fantasy football. You may have, the number one quarterback. You may have Patrick Mahomes, but you need a receiver and a running back because you have, a great number 2 QB. So you make a trade. You give up Mahomes and you pick up the 2 other pieces. Sometimes you got to do that. I think we may have gotten the better player too, even though he's not as exciting.
Yeah, you can be exciting and still not be as consistent. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Give me the consistent guy.
I got to agree with you completely. I thought today what I really liked was, I think it was the 3rd inning where there was about 3 walks in a row. Hap got the steal a second to knock out the double play opportunity. Smart baseball that they seem to be playing. They're looking at pitches, taking pitches. They walked in, I think, 2 runs, got a sack fly, and then I forget how they scored the 4th run. I was impressed with the patience.
Yeah,
they're showing.
They kept the line moving. That was key. They had the bases loaded or something like early in the game and was able to just keep the line moving. Like sometimes that's more important, like than the flashy play or the grand slam. Like keeps the pressure on the pitcher at all times to have to hit his spots. And we did a good job. PCA, how about PCA? I think he's 23 for 23 to start his career in stolen bases. He's getting up there as far as setting the career wise as far as consecutive bases stolen.
Interesting. I mean, he's just been a lot of fun to watch. I like the young kid.
I do too.
I hope he does well, and I want to keep seeing him produce and play it every day. I think he's going to be a big part of what's to come.
I do too. I think him and Michael Bush could be the building blocks kind of going forward.
So, all right, we spoke about the St. Louis and Minnesota series. Both right now playoff teams. Or, I don't know, is Minnesota a playoff team? Yeah, they're both playoff teams. St. Louis is right behind. How do you feel winning these 2 series? How do you feel about it, like as far as what it says of where we are on August 7th?
It gives you a glimmer of hope. You know what I mean? We're already kind of getting into the dog days of summer, but it gives you a glimmer. Had we lost these 2 series, I think you just throw the cap in. I mean, I think everybody would have been like, what are we doing here? It's but it kind of gives you, at least shows you some fight. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to mail this in yet. And maybe we're going to figure this thing out and just, try to get right there. Almost like we did last year. I feel like this is a replication of what we did last year. Hot April, crappy June and July. I think we caught fire at the end of July, right at the trade deadline. August, we were really good, and we almost made the playoffs last year, kind of stumbled down the last 2 weeks of the season. So it's almost an exact replica of last year.
Yeah, I'm going to jump a topic, and we'll come back to this. Comes for you. We're going to go outside of Wrigley. We're going to talk about the White Sox winning last night to end their AL tying 21 game losing streak. So on one side of the fence, we have the White Sox, which worst team statistically ever in baseball at the moment. And then you have the Cubs team, which is struggling, but they're showing heart. I'm sorry, you can't be 27 and 87 and be playing with heart unless you have no talent on your roster, which I've looked at the roster. It's not the greatest roster in MLB history, but they're not that bad. What's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts is they stink, and thank God we're not White Sox. I mean, as bad as it's been on the north side, we're not the south side, and they stink. Is it safe to say the Cubs won the Eloy Jimenez trade almost. I know that they got Dylan Cease for a few years, and he's no longer there. But we all thought that they won that trade for sure because Quentin what was his name? Quintana, Jose Quintana didn't pan out well in Chicago, but they were excited to see Eloy go out of Chicago. He just never could get healthy, never got it to put it together. But obviously Dylan Cease was the best player in that trade, and then they traded him this year, and that should have been a telltale sign when you're trading a guy like Dylan Cease how bad the White Sox were going to be.
So, I mean, I was looking at the schedule last night, and it was kind of wild. I'm counting their losses, and I'm like, all right, they have 27 wins, and we're up to 21 losses. It's for them to get to 28 losses, which is what I wanted to see. Their schedule, they had the A's now, then they have us. And that would have been what, 22, 23? That would have been 25 by the time they were done with us, had we swept them. I'm actually, in a way, kind of relieved that they won a game in Oakland because I think there would have been a lot of pressure on the Cubs to just pound them and keep that losing streak going. And now we don't have to worry. They're just such a bad team. Just play baseball.
Yeah, they're a bad team. We got to sweep, but we do need to sweep and continue the hot streak for the Cubs. Continue this momentum that you guys got over the weekend and beating the Twins as well.
Yeah, but it's a different thing because they would have been setting records every time they lost.
Yeah,
the
microscope would have been on them for sure. You know what I mean?
Exactly, and it would have been Saturday night. The White Sox had have fireworks scheduled. I think that would have been their 25th straight loss if they would have lost the game in Oakland. Which would have set some sort of record. I think that would have been the MLB record, if correct. And they had it set that was going to be fireworks night because they had planned that before the year. So imagine the pressure on the Cubs at that point to make MLB history. Besides trying to get back into a playoff race and play good baseball, to have a rivalry game and embarrass their crosstown rivals. I think that would have been a lot more pressure than they needed.
Yeah.
As much as I enjoyed them losing, and if they lost to the Cubs and they lost the game last night in Oakland, it wasn't getting any easier. They got Houston and the Yankees after that. They would have gotten into the 30s.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see what happened. They stink. I mean, they're the worst team in baseball, and the worst team could be the worst team in history in baseball. I couldn't think of all the other better franchise to happen to would have been the Cardinals or the Yankees, but here we are.
Never the Yankees, but anyway, the Cardinals, yeah. But a new losing streak has started today. I believe they lost, so they're at 1 right now. Let's stay outside of Wrigley. We'll come back to this Cubs for you after the second outside of Wrigley. So Dodgers first baseman Freddie Freeman returns to an emotional welcome after the hiatus, dealing with his son's rare disease, and the Phillies defeat the Dodgers 6-2. So, first of all, it's got to suck. I know you have kids, Botkins, to have to deal with that. I mean, that's something you would want anyone to have to deal with, let alone, a professional player. They don't have the same issues we have on a daily basis, but this is something that's different. You could be going through this. They could be going through this. You don't ever want to see that. So
you're exactly right. Nobody should have to watch their child have to struggle through that. Everybody just wants to go to work and handle their business and handle their home, no matter what job it is. Hopefully the kid's okay and Freddie can kind of get back to playing, good baseball, and he's a good player, and I'm sure we'd all done the same thing, is have to take time away to be with your family and be with your kids, because no child should ever have to go through that. Let's just be honest. So it doesn't matter, and that struggles as a parent. I've kind of had a similar. My daughter almost died when she was born, so I've had to sit through the PICU and things like that at times, and myself. So it's the most stressful situation of your entire life.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something you ever want to see anyone go through. First of all, you don't want a child to go through that. And secondly, you don't want to see another human being that's a parent have to go through that. So I mean, sometimes things are more important than baseball. I'm glad he was able to come back and he was able to be there for his family and his son. I hope that whatever it works out best for his son, and his health hopefully improves or there's a chance of it. I don't know exactly what's wrong with his son. I didn't see the report, but either way, it's a tough situation for Freddie Freeman. And the Dodgers, with or without him, for a couple of days, not a big deal. They're going to be fine. They're in first place. They have the most talent in baseball.
Yeah,
they'll be fine until October when they collapse. But you still don't want to see a guy go through that. All right, let's go to this Cubs for you. Let's talk about something positive. Shota Imanaga, Showtime. 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, 10 strikeouts on August 6th, and he's 9-2 on the season. So, I don't know. At one point, he was Cy Young Rookie of the Year lock. Now, I'd say Rookie of the Year.
No, I don't think so. I think Paul Skeens has blown him out.
Really?
I think it's Paul Skeens. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think it's Paul Skeens. I'm gonna have to see a little comparison. Skeens is phenomenal. He's done really well, but I'd have to see the splits and see. I think it's gonna be a closer race than you think. Being in Chicago,
I think it's Paul Skeens to lose. He's pitched the way he pitches and things like that. Shota's done well, but I said this before. Shota's really not a rookie. He's played professional baseball. I know it was in Japan, but to me, I would, if I casted a vote, I would cast my vote for Paul Skeens.
Wow, no love for the rookie here.
I mean, I got love for him. I'm just saying, like,
no love for the rookie.
I'm unbiased, JB. I'm unbiased,
and I appreciate that. I mean, John Shear, wherever he is, if it was a Baltimore Oreo that we were talking about, he'd say he'd win no matter what. But
I keep it real. I keep it 100 all the time.
I appreciate that. That's important. That's why we get along so well. But yeah, I mean, another great week by Shota. I think he's phenomenal. I think him and Skeens are going to see 2 pitchers for Rookie of the Year. I don't think you go wrong either way. I can understand why you say Skeens though. He is hyped up. He's done really well. And the Pirates are actually having a decent season at 500. When was the last time you remember the Pirates at 500 on August 7th?
Yeah, the time Jake Arrieta 2015 game, that's probably the last time the Pirates were this late at 500.
Yeah, it's almost a decade ago. But
yeah.
Speaking of a decade ago, let's go to the Hot Cup Time Machine, 2015. As we
speaking
just
of
said,
Jake
Arrieta, he shows out with 11 strikeouts, first pitcher in playoff history to pitch a shutout with at least 10 strikeouts, and the Cubs beat the Pirates 4-0. So tell us what you remember about that.
I don't remember much, Jay, because about after the 3rd inning, I was blacked out drunk because I knew Jake Arrieta was going to carry it to us. It was I remember we hadn't made the playoffs in almost a decade up to that point. I think 2007 was the last time the Cubs had made the playoffs, so it's been a long time. We hadn't won a playoff game since 2003 up to that point, I believe. And you just knew with Jake Arrieta on the mound, NL Cy Young winner, you knew he was. He had loved the beard, had the great beard, and I always felt like every time he pitched, I just would do the good, the bad, and the ugly, theme song. Wah 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 wah. He pitched great. You knew he was going to pitch great. He was just unhittable during that stretch. And then Kyle Schwarber, he didn't hit no-nos in that year's full 365 years. He threw a no-no in 2015, then threw a no-no about 9 months later in 2016. But just that stretch run he had was one of the best, stretch runs in all baseball history. Schwarber smoked one out the park, and after that, you just knew the Cubs were gonna win the game. I knew going in with Jake Arrieta out of the mound, they couldn't touch us.
I definitely agree. All right, Cub or dud? Can the Cubs reach 500 by next week? At the moment, the Cubs are 57-60, 3 games under. They have. Let's see. Let's look at the schedule.
They got the White Sox and the Guardians.
Yeah, it's 2 against the White Sox. So if they can put the White Sox down to a 3-game losing streak, yes, it's only 3 people. They did win the other day. Then they have the Guardians, another playoff team. So they'd have to, what do they have, a 3-game set against them?
Yeah, against the Guardians.
So you're looking at 5 games. It would end show day. They'd have to go basically 4-1.
Man, I'm gonna say dud right now. I don't think they can take. I think the Guardians probably take 2 out of 3 from us.
Well, I'm gonna say we split the White Sox series and we take 2 out of 3 from Cleveland because the Cubs are gonna do something stupid and lose one of those games because they do what my favorite teams of all times do: the New York Giants and the St. John's Red Storm. They play to their competition, and when you play to your competition and they're a bad team, you play bad. When you play a really good team, you step up and you play good. But the problem with that is you lose games you shouldn't lose. And there's nothing more frustrating than losing games you shouldn't lose.
Amen to that.
Yeah. So
I'll say that.
So, Denzel, since we got a minute left, come on. What do you think? Cub or dud?
I actually am going to say Cub. Reason being is for the comment that I just put on the screen. First of all, you should sweep the White Sox. I don't care who you are. We're talking about a 21-win team at this point in the season. You should sweep the damn White Sox, okay? So I got 2 on that one. And then the Guardians, I believe, is a 3-game series. I think the Cubs can take 2 of 3 from that. They are tied for the best record in the majors, if not 1 game under, but the Cubs seemingly show up against the good teams. That has to be acknowledged. So I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say Cub here.
All right, real quick, what's the Cubs' record against the White Sox this year?
Not undefeated.
We only got 1 loss against them, right? We beat them twice. We played them twice and beat them twice.
Yeah.
I'm looking it up. Oh, we're 2-0. Okay, I thought they lost.
Yeah.
It was a comeback.
Yeah, they're undefeated.
It was a comeback. It was a comeback.
It was a
Yeah, because everybody was all hyping it up. I'm like, you guys, it's a fucking White Sox. Let's not celebrate.
Exactly. It was a
first
comeback.
Series was
that's why in my head I'm
Wrigley,
thinking it was a loss.
Comiskey Park. So
yeah, it was 2-7-6 games. I was looking it up. I was trying to grab some time as I was saying that. But listen, if they can win those 2, I just think that they're going to do a cup like thing and make us watch a loss somewhere. I hope not.
And the Buckets.
Well, we scored a bunch of runs the last 2 games, so we're probably due to get shut out at least 1 game.
Go ahead, Jay.
Well, to Bakken point, and the bats have been showing up. They did get shut out once in the I think it was the Twin Series.
Yeah.
But then they answered back with 2 straight wins. So, but with that being said, he said it. The Cubs have the easiest schedule for the rest of the year. So there should be no reason why they can't reach 80 wins and be in a race for the wild card. 80-something wins.
Going to be interesting to see. Jay, stay on before you go. Tell us about Top Rope Talk before you go.
Yes. So Top Rope Talk is every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The past 2 weeks were pretty loaded. We had the SummerSlam preview show and then the SummerSlam recap show this past Monday. This past Monday Night Raw was phenomenal, as is typically a Monday Night Raw after a Big 5 pay-per-view. Next week will be a recap of what happened this past Monday and a recap of what happened on Friday night SmackDown. We also are getting close to AEW All In on August the 25th. So we're going to do a little preview show for that one and, of course, a recap show for that one. But it's Top Rope Talk, all pro wrestling, all the time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Sideline Sports Network.
Some Bakkens, tell us about your MMA show coming up in a little bit and what else you do.
Got Head Kicks and Haymakers at 8 o'clock. So in about 30 minutes, please tune in to my channel. Tomorrow night, though, we got a special LTS show on the Let's Talk Sports Network. It's a show dedicated to my dear friend Thomas Lyon, who was murdered Friday by a drunk driver. He saved his children as he was walking a crosswalk. So we're going to dedicate tomorrow's Let's Talk Sports show to him. We'll have the GoFundMe in the link in the description of the show tomorrow night. So if you could tune in tomorrow night, and I will go into more depth about Thomas's story tomorrow at 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern, on the Let's Talk Sports show, as we dedicate the show to my dear friend Thomas Lyon.
Hawkins, make sure you send that to me so we could announce it on all of our shows, because that whatever we can do to help.
Thanks.
No worries, man. Anytime. So make sure you check it out. Those shows, Sideline Sports, every Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We will see you guys next week, and watch the Cubs win. That's all.